Morning. I'm going to try to show you how to connect the Megado Dobby to Louët software. So at present I've got a Dobby powered up and ready to go here. I've got my laptop and I've got an iPad, so I'm going to show you on both, well, at the same time really here. So the first thing we need to do is to connect the computers and the iPad to Louët Wi-Fi. Now right here you can see the Wi-Fi signal that this unit is displaying. It says Louët Wi-Fi. That's the built-in Wi-Fi signal that is being emitted from the Louët Dobby unit. So I'm going to go to my Wi-Fi area and I'm going to collect Louët Wi-Fi and say connect. And it's should ask me for a password. It's thinking while we're doing this. While it's thinking, the password is listed right here on the Dobby, right above the word factory reset. It starts with an L and is an additional 7 digits. There's my password queue, so it's L493, L493, 8718, and I hit enter, and it tries to connect. And the Louët Wi-Fi that you're looking for in this list, it's one word. It's all run Louët Wi-Fi, all run together. And now you can see on my computer I'm connected. So next thing I will do is I'll go to a browser window. I'll open a fresh browser window. In the address bar right here, I'm going to type in the IP address that's listed right here, 10.42.0.1. So an IP address is basically, it's a web page. This Dobby unit is emitting a web page through IP address 10.42.0.1, and anyone who can connect to the Dobby can see the page that's behind that number, and there it is. That's the Louët software. My computer is simply a display device for the software that you see in front of us now. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with the iPad. I'm in the settings area. I'm going to click on Louët Wi-Fi to connect to that. It'll come up with the same password request. And I'm going to type in the same password. And the result is that you can have multiple devices viewing the same screen. The same thing will be happening on each. I don't think it started typing for me. Guess it doesn't like my keyboard. I'll have to switch to up here. 493 8718. Join. So it's connected now. You see the check mark right there. I click clear. I'm going to go to a browser and click for a new page, and I'm going to type in 10.42.0.1. Of course, didn't like that. I have to go up here, 10.42.0.1, go. And there's the same screen that you see. So now as I do things on one, it should show up in the other. So I want to show two things today, and this is updating the Dobby software. So currently, yes, this is displaying version 2.2, as you can see here. I'm going to reinstall this version. The process is the key that I want to show everyone. So the first method is by trying to connect to local Wi-Fi and then forcing the upgrade. So we're going to go to the settings tab right here and click on settings. Then I'm going to tell it to scan for local Wi-Fi, and local Wi-Fi is not what's coming out of the Dobby. The Dobby is emitting its own Wi-Fi. Local Wi-Fi is what powers our computers on the internet here to search and do our business. So Louët Wi-Fi is what I've labeled my local Wi-Fi. It's a little bit confusing in the two, but there's a space between. You can see that here. It's Louët space Wi-Fi, capital letters, unlike the Louët Wi-Fi all in lowercase for the Dobby. So this is what I'm going to select. And wireless password here is where I'm going to put the password for this Wi-Fi. So basically you're looking for your router name that you have that provides wireless Wi-Fi within your home or your office, and you put the name of that router here, and then you put the password in beside it. And I'm going to do that. And then you're going to click on connect. So you get a message here saying, hey, we're trying to connect to your network. And if it doesn't, if it's not successful, try it again. Well, you'll know it's successful because, see now here, we're rebooting. That's the first step. And in the rebooting process, it's going to try to get an IP address assigned by your local router. And if the IP address is different than the 10.42.0.1 that we previously showed, then it has been successful. If it's the same, then it has been unsuccessful, and we'll try it again. So you can see we do have success. You can see the IP address has been changed to 192.168.0.196. So that's a new IP address for this Dobby. Anyone who wants to see this Dobby now has to connect to the same network on your device, meaning my local Louët space Wi-Fi, and then type in this IP address into their browser bar. And so we'll go ahead and do that. So first I'm going to make sure I'm connected to the correct Wi-Fi. I am, because also another thing, when this Dobby connects to local Wi-Fi, it stops emitting its own Wi-Fi signal, so that all run together Louët Wi-Fi is gone, and all I have is my own Louët Wi-Fi. Oops, I shouldn't have disconnected. Connect again, sorry. There, I'm connected. And now I'm going to open a new browser, and I'm going to type this address, 192.168.0.196. And I'm going to hit enter. And voila, there's my Louët software. It's asking for the password that's on the Dobby. So now I'm going to type that in, L493. Eight seven eight. Oops, guess I wasn't there yet. L493 878, and log in. So here I am. Now I'm back. I've got a screen. I can do the same thing on the iPad. First thing I have to go to the iPad, make sure that I'm connected to Louët Wi-Fi. It's automatically connecting because we're here more often. And I go to a browser, select a new browser, and I'm going to type in the same IP address, 192.168.0.196, go. See, it's also asking for the password, so that's a standard process. L493. And there we have the same thing. So if I now just for giggles here, I'm going to open a file. Wait a minute. Okay. just do demo. I don't like that file. Open test 32, doesn't like that one either. Open. Well, let's just do demo. And we're going to try to weave. I can see this one does need a bit of an update. Let's see. You're seeing a couple things. You're hearing the activation, deactivation. It's a single solenoid at a time, so it is a little bit soft. Activate, deactivate. Now on the computer screens, you can see both of them are displaying the same thing, a steady movement of the line, of the active line up the page. So this black box here is the active line, and this is the history, and this is what's coming, what you're going to be weaving. So simple pattern file. I just used a piece of metal, a needle here, to simulate metal to activate the sensor. So this is what we call the screwdriver test as well, is if you can get the solenoids to activate according to the pattern, then you know that that system is working. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is actually do the upgrade for this computer, and I'm going to have you take a look behind under the hood here. Got a piece of software that lists all Dobbies that are online right now, and move the camera here and show you. That's the serial number right here for this Dobby. Not sure if you can lower this to see it better. So you see it ends in 39. I'll put the camera back here. I'm not sure if you can see that. Well, let's try to do this as well. You can see one of the two devices is NP0039. So that's how I see Dobbies online, and so now I'm just going to click on that 39, and it's going through the process of updating this Dobby now. And you'll see it run through that process. You see I've got success. It has uploaded a bunch of files, and now we're going to look over here, and you're going to see the reboot of the Dobby in a few seconds here. That was a pretty quick reset, but you saw the change in the screen. And so now if we go back to the software, I'm going to refresh it, and you can see the Dobby has changed. Over here we've got the iPad still not refreshed. You see how it says Dobby version 2.2. We showed we were mimicking the same thing on each. And now over here we've got Dobby version 2.21. So there was a mild upgrade that was completed since this last one. So that Dobby has now been, or this Dobby has now been updated. So that's the wireless method of connection. If when you're doing the wireless connection here, earlier versions look a little bit differently, but they have the same concepts here of typing in the network name and then the password. Older versions don't have version 2.2 yet. They're in 1.3, 1.2, 1.4. sometimes takes several attempts. It depends on the strength of the Wi-Fi signal. How far are you away from the router? How strong is that router signal? How strong is the Wi-Fi capability on the device? It might be better to try to use a laptop instead of an iPad or an iPhone in order to try to make this Wi-Fi connection. Try it a couple of times and try to get it to stick. The total key is that it changes the IP address here. If you get a changed IP address, then you are connected. Until you do, you're not connected yet. So now I'm going to pause this and I'm going to set up to show you how to do a wired upgrade. Okay, I'm back to show the wired connection. So the first, you see I've rearranged things a little bit so my Dobby can get a little closer to the wires that I have. The first thing you need is this Ethernet to USB adapter. This device came with your Dobby and you'll need that. Second thing you need is an Ethernet cable. I've got one here and it's plugged into my router right now, and I'll show you the path in a second here. But it looks like, where's the camera? Sorry, if I can show that. It kind of in some ways looks like a old telephone, but it's wider and thicker, and it plugs in very snugly with a click to this. The other side has a USB port, and that's going to plug into one of the two USB ports on the Dobby in a minute. Now I want to show you what I'm plugged into, and for that we're going to go on mobile here for a second. So let me just flip this around. No, it's not going to work. All right, you see the cable that I have running on the ground, blue cable, and the key goes all the way to this box on the wall, and that's my router.